best thing about being 40, in your 40s, for sure, is how your mental attitude changes to your own confidence, for sure. So I think in your 30s, you're in your prime as a man or a woman. You've gone from being a kid, sort of in your 20s, you're kind of still a kid, but in your 30s, you're there. You're an adult. You're a confident adult, but you're still young. But you're in your prime. But the thing is, in your 30s, you can still have a few self-confidence issues, that kind of thing. Where I'll give you an example. I people watch. A woman will walk into a room. Doesn't matter how she's dressed. If another woman feels insecure or threatened, she might give off confidence by looking her up and down as if to say, what are you wearing? And that person themselves is lacking in confidence, not a kind person, lacking in confidence and trying to feel aloof and make you feel insecure. And of course, when you're younger, certainly that's more of a female thing, but it works, doesn't it? You know, you kind of think, that biatch, but you kind of then think, oh no. As you get to your 40s, that kind of thing changes. You really start to adopt a I really don't give a fuck attitude. You really do. You kind of think, I don't care. I'm wearing this because I'm comfortable. In my case, I'm often a scruffy oik because I'm always doing something physical and therefore dirty. And I don't want to wear my bestest, expensivest clothes to do manual labour with and get mucky to repair things or so on, or work with animals. I don't want to. I want to wear something that's comfortable and comfortable in the temperature I'm working in. I could be working outside in a lot of hot weather, entertaining the public. So therefore then, I'll dress more smartly. But I'll often think, I'm not wearing a shirt and tie. I'll wear a nice polo shirt. I don't care. But what you do care about and what you do realise as you get to your 40s is whilst you have a much more I don't give an F attitude, you do understand when and where is appropriate. You don't have to ask your mum or your spouse. You kind of understand. You know, if you go into something serious like an interview, you're going to dress appropriately for that. But in the meantime, you don't have those awkward hang-ups, those insecurities as much as when you're younger. So if you're in your 20s and 30s watching this, and you are quite an insecure person and you do worry about what other people think, you're not going to feel like that. Your brain changes when you're older. I really don't care what people think about me unless it's for work. I want to present myself to my clients and customers in the correct manner. They think, oh, he's professional at what he does. We want to welcome him into our place of work, our business. He doesn't sort of look freaky or too odd or too out there. He doesn't look smelly or dirty or scruffy. Dress appropriately, but you know that. You learn that by your 40s. And you know when I don't care. I don't care. People that know me well, they know who I am. They know whether what I'm wearing is irrelevant. In the falconry world, my son will often say, oh, Dad's got all the idea and none of the gear. If I'm going out with my eagle and I'm going to be, this is a winter thing, I'm going to be kneeling in a ploughed field in the middle of the wet winter, I just don't want, unless I'm going out on some kind of field meet, I don't want to be wearing my best moleskin trousers just to kneel in the mud. I'd rather just have some cheap stuff on. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he gets ripped on barbed wire and so on and so forth. But if I was going on a meeting with other gents that were going to be dressed very smart in their country wear, I'll up my game for that instance. Not as smart as anyone else, but I'll up my game. I'd love to be someone that won the lottery, and a bit like the pretty woman shopping scene, I'd love to go around some different van dealers, bike dealers or car dealers, just dressed like this. I'd love it, just to see who would treat you with respect as a human, as a potential customer, or who would look you up and down and think, I'm not entertaining this week. He certainly can't afford this kind of vehicle. I'd love it. And I wouldn't go back dressed in any other way, and I wouldn't buy from them, and I'd just love that. Because when you get to your 40s, you don't give a fig. You really don't. Who cares? You learn to dress appropriately. So if you are younger, say, don't worry so much. Don't worry so much, because a lot of stuff that you worry about, it absolutely doesn't matter. And most of it, no one else, the things you're worrying about to do with your confidence, no one else even notices or even notices what you're wearing. I get up early, but I used to do a lot of school visits with my animals in London, and I once went with 2 different colour boots on. They were the same make and model of boot, but it was 4:30 in the morning, it was dark, my eyes were bleary, and I put a pair of boots on that were identical, apart from one was brown and one was a bluish grey. What a muppet. And I was setting up for my day's work before anyone sort of came to see me, and I noticed. And I thought, oh, what a plonker. I'm not going to be popping home for a 3.5-hour drive to change now. And I thought, I'll tell the teachers, but I'll see how long if anyone notices. So I did the first hour's session of my day, standing in the school hall in front of, I don't know, 60 or 90 kids and half a dozen adults. And at the end I said, has anyone noticed anything odd about me today? I had a few comments, but they were nothing to do with my boots. And I pointed them out, and the teachers were like, oh my goodness, blah blah blah. No one notices. They could all see them, because we're not tending to look at people's shoes most of the time. When I was younger, if I met a girl, I wouldn't look at her shoes, or particularly a lot of stuff she was wearing at the time. You're either attracted or you're not, aren't you? I dread to think how many times my wife's worried more about my presentation than my own confidence has, and she might have said, in this situation, Dave, you do need to brush your act up, or something like that. So you can take that I don't give a fuck to the extreme, and then you can be inappropriate. You can be inappropriate how you present yourself. You're not good. I wouldn't employ someone that turned up smelly and scruffy, even if they were going to work with animals and get covered in crap all day long. I'd still expect someone to turn up to an interview well presented. I'm the worst I've ever looked in my life. I pretty much need to do something like skin my hair. I'm old and wrinkly. I'm going grey. I'm really unfit. Muscle tone's terrible. And the only reason I really care about all these things is A, I'm really worried about my health and need to brush up my act, and B, how I present myself, because most of my jobs, I'm the new boy every day. I go somewhere new every day. I have a lot of repeat customers, but most of my customers, I go there once a year. And when I walk in, I want to present the right image. I want them to feel chilled out. We've not got a muppet here. We've not got someone smelly. We've not got an old dilapidated old man that's going to forget what he's meant to be talking about. Presentation for professional reasons is one thing. How you hold yourself, dress yourself, everything else in other times is another. I'm not saying it's okay to be smelly and scruffy, because what will happen there is, if you don't take some pride in yourself, which is different from not giving a fuck, if you don't take some pride in yourself as a person, that's a very depressive way to live. So if that's how you are, seriously, and this is a crazy thing to say, I see depressed people and they struggle to get in the shower, they struggle to put on clean clothes. It is a downward spiral. So confidence or lack of is one thing. Personal presentation and hygiene for your own peace of mind is quite another. Another confidence thing, which is very empowering really once you're in your 40s, is your work confident. You tend to know your job, or you're confident in your own abilities. I sometimes see people that are older and they're really not, and they won't help others, and it's all about their insecurities. That's pretty sad. Once you're in your 40s and beyond, most of us, we're pretty work confident, and we're very happy to share our knowledge. No problem at all. I think famously, when I was a lad, my mate's dad went for an interview. I guess he'd been in his 40s, early 50s, and he famously said the guy doing the interview was very much textbook, an interview from a textbook. And he said, and tell me, why do you think I should give you this job? And he said, deadpan, because I'm a fucking sight better at my job than you are at yours. And he got the job. Confidence is everything. When you're younger, it's harder. But as you get older, 40 onwards, you'll feel much more confident than maybe you do when you're younger. Embrace it. Overconfidence is always a silly thing. But yeah, you know more about the world and you know more about yourself and you know more about people and how they behave. Confidence definitely comes with age. But that's all we've got to say on this one. Realistically, if you're younger, don't worry too much about your confidence or lack of. Most of the time, what you're worrying about really doesn't matter. And rest assured, most of us, as we go through our 40s, your confidence changes dramatically. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next one.